look at that. It looks like I've actually fulfilled all the requests. And if I haven't, feel free to correct me and tell me you haven't gotten to me yet, and I will do your video right away. But from what I can tell, all the requests are fulfilled thus far. So until more starts rolling in, I'm going to do a few that I've been thinking about. And I have a unique one for you. This one might get me into trouble, but what's life without a little trouble? And the fight I've been thinking about all week is Iron Mike Tyson versus Chris Byrd. I've been going back and watching a lot of Chris Byrd's fights. So just call this Chris Byrd week. I really enjoyed watching the guy fight. I loved his elusiveness, his slickness, his awkwardness, and his speed. As far as Iron Mike goes, really needs no introduction. We know what Mike does. The master of seek and destroy, with speed, with footwork, with some of the best upper body movement I've ever seen, if not the best upper body movement, and that power. I don't even need to say much about Mike Tyson's power. We all know the deal. We all know the deal. So, how would a fight between these two play out? I'm going to be honest. I think Chris Byrd would have beaten Mike Tyson. I think he would have outboxed him, or the version of Mike Tyson around the early 2000s. I really do think that Chris was too elusive for Tyson, and Tyson just simply wouldn't have a target. Now let's talk about prime Chris Byrd, or Chris Byrd at his best at heavyweight versus prime Mike Tyson. We all love prime Mike Tyson. I'm going to preach the same thing I always preach on these videos. You may get tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing myself say it. I'm trying not to say it, but it's the truest saying in boxing, so it needs to be said. Styles makes fights. Styles makes fights, so that's the first thing you have to consider when doing these fantasy fights or these hypothetical matchups. So how would a fight play out between Mike Tyson and Chris Byrd when they're both at their best? It's a tough one. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, Tyson, it's a no-brainer. Mike Tyson would destroy Chris Byrd. He would go in, seek, and destroy Chris Byrd. Not so fast. Not so fast. You saw my Mike Tyson Kryptonite video. What did I say was his kryptonite? The jab. Chris Byrd had a long, educated jab. So, with that being said, Chris Byrd's jab would be a factor. It will be a major factor in this fight. Chris Byrd's defense and his elusiveness would frustrate Tyson. Now, Tyson's best bet is to get in quick, like he normally does. Get in on the inside, work the body, and come upstairs. 2 body punches, finish off with either an uppercut, a left hook, or a straight right. Now, one thing I will say about Iron Mike, he had an underrated jab. He had a different jab, but he had an underrated jab. And he used that jab to get on the inside. So, Tyson's jab is a factor, but it's a quick jab. He normally throws it 1, 2, 3 times, pop, 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 gets on the inside. So that could also be a factor. But what about the head movement of Chris Byrd? Now, Tyson wins the power contest. No doubt about it. Enough said. If Tyson hits Chris Byrd once, it's over. Or Chris Byrd is in trouble until Tyson finishes him off. But that's if Tyson is able to land his power shots. And I always say, it doesn't matter how hard you hit if you have no target. And unfortunately, I don't think that Mike Tyson would have a target in Chris Byrd. I really don't. I really don't. And we've seen Tyson get frustrated when he couldn't land on his opponents early. I'm just stating a fact. I'm not knocking Iron Mike Tyson, one of the greatest heavyweights to ever step in the ring. Nothing can take that away. But at the same time, I have to look at this from every angle. And I know I'm going to get myself in trouble. It wouldn't be the first time, and it certainly won't be the last. So I just see Chris Byrd having all the advantages. I see Chris Byrd frustrating Tyson. I see Chris Byrd being too elusive. And Chris Byrd was criminally underrated. There was no reason why he should have been so underrated. Maybe it was his lack of power, or maybe it was simply fans didn't like his style. But it worked. It worked. And I truly feel that Chris Byrd has the style, or had the style, to even beat prime Mike Tyson. I really do. Just have an open mind and just think about it. So I'm going to go with Chris Byrd by decision. Please let me know what you think. I'm sure you will. Let's talk about Muhammad Ali's Kryptonite. And yes, I'm talking about the great Muhammad Ali. I don't care how good you were, every fighter had a kryptonite. And it just makes for a fun subject matter. So, what was Ali's kryptonite? He didn't have many weaknesses, as far as I'm concerned. They considered him the greatest for a reason. I even consider him the greatest. But I just like making observations in every fight, or every fight that I've seen. So, what I've observed is Ali's kryptonite was the left hook. Joe Frazier proved it. Sometimes Ali could be lured into throwing the uppercut, and his opponents would come around with the left hook. Henry Cooper caught him with the left hook. Joe Frazier caught him with the left hook, and he went down from those left hooks. So I would say the only thing that Muhammad Ali was susceptible to was the left hook. Please give me your thoughts.